Alright, let's do this. UFC 316 goes down this weekend. Main event, Marab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley. It is a rematch. I haven't really thought about my picks too much. We're just going to get into it. Marquel Medeiros versus Mark Chewinski. I have never heard of Mark Chewinski in my life before. Let's take a little look. Undefeated, coming from Anthony Pettis' promotion. He defended his title against an 8-7 guy for 2-6. Not looking great. Better 3-0. Okay, it's bit of stat padding. Marquel Medeiros. I think I predicted him a couple months ago when he fought Austin Hubbard. Yeah. Not fighting great guys. 8-8, but he's had UFC experience now against two guys. Austin Hubbard. He's not great, but whatever. Landon Quinones. I think the difference here, just looking at this, is probably going to be Marquel Medeiros' UFC experience. They both did a bit of stat padding, looks like, outside of the UFC, but Mark Chewinski hasn't actually proven that he can beat anyone in the UFC, not stat padding, whereas Marquel Medeiros has. So I'll go Marquel by decision. Next fight up. Excited about this one. I put this in a video sometime this week. About fights I'm really looking forward to that are coming up. Quillan Salkeld. There's a bandwagon. I am on it. I'm not the leader of it. That's bedtime. But I'm firmly there. I believe in Quillan Salkeld. Yanal's very good. It's a very tough fight for both of them, I think. 155 is such a good division where you can get two guys like this who they aren't even close to a ranking, and they're both already having to fight each other. Both good strikers. The only guy to beat Yanal was Chris Duncan, which that win is aging. Or not win, that loss is aging about, good. It's aging good for a loss. But I think Quillan Salkeld's going to be too slick. I think Yanal might do good here and there, but I could see Quillan coming away with a decision 2-1. Ju Sang Yu versus Jeka Sarag. I'm not gonna try. 8-0 versus 14-4. I recognise Jeka's name. 1 and 2 in the UFC. Lost to Anshul Jabli and Weston Wilson. Only win over Lucas Alexander. That's not great. You're losing to two terrible guys and then beating one guy who's maybe slightly better than both of the guys you've lost to. Okay, so not looking great. And then Ju Sang Woo. Yeah, was he not even a road to UFC guy? Just fighting not terrible competition. I mean, some of those guys have warning records. I'm gonna take a shot on Ju Sang Yu. I know Jeka has more UFC experience, but if your UFC experience is losing to Anshul Jabli and Weston Wilson, I don't know how much that really counts for. I'll go Jeka. We'll go. No, not Jeka. I'm not going to pick Jeka. That's terrible. I'm picking Ju Sang Yu by TKO in the second round. Ariane Lipski de Silva versus Kong Wang. Kong Wang's a good prospect in the women's divisions, I think. There's not many of them, but she's one of them. She got beaten head kicked and subbed, I believe, but I think it's probably more of a freak occurrence as opposed to the norm. If that fight happened a couple times, I don't think that result would replay. Ariane Lipski is just an NPC. 17-10. That's not great. UFC record, let's see. 6-7. That's about right. Look who she's losing to. Corrine Silva, not terrible. Jasmine Jasudavicius, not terrible. Priscilla Cachoeira, terrible. Some of these losses aren't great. She did beat Casey O'Neill though, which is that's an alright one. It's okay. I think it's a pretty open and shut pick here. Kong Wang, hopefully by finish. I reckon she probably gets her out of there. We'll go third round TKO. Chaos Williams versus Andreas Gustafsson. I've heard a lot about this Andreas guy. People are pretty high on him. That's 34 years old. You're 34-year-old prospect, buddy. Who are you, Lerone Murphy? Lost to Jelton Luterback. Okay. Yeah, I keep on seeing these bad losses on these guys' records. He's winning though. He's knocking people out and he's doing it relatively fast. I don't think though you don't want to get into a firefight. A contest of power and will with Chaos Williams. Sorry, Kalen Williams. Naming yourself Chaos. Cringe. Yeah, I mean, you look at the losses of Kalen Williams. They come to Gabriel Bonfim, Randy Brown, and Michelle Becerra in the UFC. And then, who cares? That was 2018. Those are three, like, decent losses to have, you know. Pereira hasn't looked great recently, but at one point, I think he was on an 8-fight winning streak. Bonfim's about to fight Stephen Thompson. He's, up there. And Randy Brown arguably should probably be fighting a ranked opponent. So those are all, three decent guys. Same logic as what I said before. I think Chaos Williams is probably gonna catch Andreas Gustafsson. I reckon it's gonna happen early, judging on Andreas's, the rounds that he's getting finishes in. I think he's gonna go for it early and probably get knocked out. And they go first round, out cold knockout for Kalen. Sergey Spivak versus Salsa Boy. I hope Waldo Cortez Acosta loses. I hate him. It's just something about him. It just annoys me. And it's not just because he fraud checked Rebellis to Spain. Yeah, I mean, you look at this. He's on a 4-fight winning streak. Lucas Brzeski joined the club. You knocked him out. You bet him. Good job. He emoted over Andrei Arlovsky. But then the really... I was going to say the two wins you want to look at, but Ryan Spann, no fight IQ. That's an alright one, I suppose. He's got the lighter man skill. Then Rebellis to Spain, who we found out has no takedown defense. He's in karate combat, doing what he, so that's his calling. Versus Sergey Spivak. I just think Sergey is a little more proven. He's a decent fighter. And the guys he's losing to are Jailton Almeida, Cyril Gahn, Tom Aspinall, Tabora. Ignore the Harris. Ignore the Harris loss. But, and he avenged the Marcin Tabora win as well. Loss. Got the win here. Which is good. Even got the finish over him. And Marcin, if you're bad, you lose to Marcin Tabora. And honestly, I would probably pick Marcin to beat Salsa Boy. So going off that logic, using that MMA math, the ever correct formula to pick fights, I'm going to go Sergey Spivak by ground and pound. I think he's going to wear out Waldo Cortez Acosta and either get a late third round TKO submission, finish, or win a decision. Just kind of smothering him. Moving up, Azamat Murzakanov versus Brenson Ribeiro. This is Ribeiro filling in, I think, for Johnny Walker, right? Yeah, Johnny would have gotten murdered. He's going to now. He's got his fight rebooked. He's got a fight booked with Minecraft Steve, Mingyan Zhang. Zhang Mingyang. There we go. In the future, Zhang versus Azamat would be a good fight. I'm getting off topic though. Azamat, he's good. He's skilled. He looks like he shouldn't be a fighter, but he's good. He's got good boxing. He's very powerful. And Brenson, he has knockouts, but you see those 7 losses. He's been known to get chinned by Mingyang Zhang, actually. I believe he got knocked out by. It all comes full circle. Yeah, and then lost to Megamed again. Yeah, okay. And then he beat a 10-0 guy, but you're going to beat a 14-0 guy. I think Azamat knocks him out. Go back here for 1 second. So yeah, Brenson can get knocked out. He's been knocked out 3 times, all within the last 3 and a bit years as well. It's not like they were years and years ago, like in his early career. Like if he was getting finished in 2015, it'd be like, it was 10 years ago. No, these are like 3 years ago that he's getting finished. So I think I'm gonna go Azamat. I feel like he's a bit of a slower fighter, so I'll go second round KO. No, TKO. I think he's going to hit him with a shot. Brenson's going to cover up and he'll finish him against the cage. Like sort of fall to his knees sort of thing. Bruno Silva versus Joshua Van. Not going to beat around the bush. I think Joshua Van wins this fight. I think their momentum is in direct opposite directions. Van's pretty much only going up. He's rebounded very well off that Charles Johnson loss. Charles Johnson, ever the tricky customer to deal with. Ended up finishing Van in that fight, which is especially surprising. I just think Bruno Silva, though, can be finished by strikes and eye pokes, shown in his last fight with Manel Cap. But again, that halted his momentum in the UFC. He had a bit of a thing going there. He had those 4 wins in a row after losing 2 in his debut and his second fight. But you look at the guys he was beating. He's beating JP Baez, Victor Rodriguez. Tyson Nam's okay, but still. And then Cody Durden, that's probably the best one he has. Manel Cap was too big of a step up for him, and I think Joshua Van, maybe right now, might not be as good as Cap. He could be. Who knows? But I don't think Bruno Silva's shown me that he can beat a guy like Joshua Van. I think Joshua Pillow Hands Van probably gets a decision here. Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland. Motormouth Kevin Holland's gonna beat him. Depends if it's a finish or not. I'm not completely sure. I think Holland definitely has the power to do that, and Luque's durability has been on the decline, as Holland has been talking about. I hope Luque wins. I don't like Holland very much. I think he talks, not he talks too much. He's just too salty about everything, and that's the joke about him, right? I'm hardly reinventing the wheel with that statement. But I don't think Luque has it anymore. I think striking-wise, it's a pretty bad matchup for him. He needs to counter-punch. He needs people to come to him. But Kevin Holland has like an 80-inch reach, I think. He's just going to stay on the outside, pick his shots. If it goes to the ground, Luque's good. They both are. They both have really good dart strokes. But I think Kevin just has more in the tank at this point. And I think he'll win probably by pretty boring one-sided decision. Next fight up on the card, very interesting fight. Mario Batista versus Patchy Mix. I think Mario's game plan, not his game plan, his fighting style works well into what Patchy wants to do. I think on the feet, Patchy is going to be able to beat him. I think Mario could win on the feet, but Patchy's shown that he's a competent enough striker. And really, I think both guys, their bread and butter is their grappling, and I just think Patchy Mix is not so much better, but like a lot better. Not good enough. There's enough of a difference there where if he gets to the ground, it's probably not going to be that competitive. I'm glad to see Patchy Mix in the UFC. It's very exciting. I think he honestly probably gets a submission, I want to say, in the second round. They might fill each other out in the feet. Mix will probably get the better of Mario. Mario will think, okay, I'll shoot a takedown. They'll go to the ground there, and he won't like what happens. Mix by second round sub. Calvin Gastelum versus Salty Joe Pyfer. It's 2 salty people on this card. I'm gonna pick Joe Pyfer by vicious knockout. I think the durability of Calvin Gastelum was fun while it lasted, but I was gonna say he hasn't fought anyone with sort of like the brutality of Pyfer. He's fought Cannonier, but he got dropped over and over by Cannonier, and Cannonier, even though he dropped 2 weight classes to be a middleweight, he still feels a little small in there sometimes. Whereas Pyfer's a big guy. He hits really hard. And not only hits, you can see the intent with which he throws his punches. Like, it's brutal. I think he'll drop Calvin all over the place a couple times and then probably put him out cold. And for some of the people who saw Calvin in his earlier fights fighting Adesanya, in that sort of run, that'll be quite sad for them. But honestly, at a point, with how he handled the Daniel Rodriguez situation, it's kind of good riddance in my opinion. You don't have the discipline to make welterweight. Everyone's said it before, but I don't think there's really a place in the sport for people that don't have that discipline like that. The only division where it's really acceptable to be fat is heavyweight, and Calvin's not fat, but he's definitely tubs. Pyfer by second round knockout. Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. Very close fight. Very interesting. Kayla Harrison by goofy early exchanges in the feet between them. I think are going to go down. I think Harrison eventually is going to take her down. Pena is going to be delusional and think she can hang on the ground. Try a little jiu-jitsu, but just like she got submitted by the pure striker Jermaine Durandamy, I think she will get submitted by Kayla Harrison. I think Kayla will make it look pretty brutal as well. There's, as much as Kayla wants to pretend like there's not a total amount of bad blood, there definitely is. And I will enjoy I'll enjoy it if Kayla wins. Oh, and then Nunez comes back, hooray! Can't wait to see Nunez come back, win the title, and then defend the belt another 5 times against people no one cares about, winning a decision somehow in every single one of them. For someone who's supposed to have like the most power in the women's division, she currently finished a fight, or she couldn't in the later stages of her career, except against Pena when she didn't finish her, but she dropped her all over the place. Harrison, second round sub. Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley 2. I'm going to go with Sean. And this is a little bit of a vibes pick. Just what people have been saying all week, really. It's that Sean's more dialed in. And I don't think that's exactly... Like him being off social media, I don't think that directly correlates to him beating Merab. But he has the experience with Merab now. And a lot of people say, oh, you don't want to go into later rounds with Merab. Sean won rounds 3 and 5. So, I think Sean's not going to care as much about the takedown this time. He's just going to get his striking off. I think he's going to be able to pick his shots better now that he has that experience with Merab. And Merab definitely could... I could look like an idiot after this. Like, absolutely, fully. But, I don't know. It's just the feeling I get. It's the UFC plot armor for their stars. I think Sean O'Malley will win the belt back, and then, I don't know. Might have a fun fight with Corey Sandhagen. Hopefully a rematch with Petr Yan. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Because then, as well, just for the health of the division, if Merab ends up winning, then what? You're going to rematch him and Yan? I know a lot of people don't want to see that. I'd be interested, but I know the vast majority of fans aren't particularly. Because of how dominant the first fight was. Though I don't think a second fight... I think Merab would still win, but I don't think it would be that one-sided. Whereas, if you got Sean versus Yan, that was extremely down to the wire last time. People, say, oh, Yan clearly won. He didn't, you can definitely make the arguments he won. That's definitely there. But to act like it was a wash is silly. Yan had to shoot takedowns on Sean because Sean was getting, the better of him in some moments in the feet. And of course, Yan had his moments on the feet as well. A lot of them. In fact, that's why it was such a close fight. It's just how good of a striker Sean O'Malley is. You're making Petr Yan shoot on you. He's going to be dialed in. I think he'll probably be more aggressive this time as well. And I think that's going to lead to either I don't think he's going to finish it early. People say he has to finish him early. I just don't see that. I think it's either going to be a late round stoppage, like how he hurt Merab in the 5th round last time, or he's going to win a decision based off just any rounds you want to choose. 3 rounds probably. Merab will get takedowns. I don't doubt that. Even if O'Malley can't get up from them, I still think he's going to be able to find his moments. And Merab, he did a bit of damage in the 2nd and 4th in their last fight, but I think Sean's going to be more aware this time. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the fights. I hadn't really thought about many of them. A couple I had that I'd mentioned in my previous video about the fights I'm interested in, but most of these just, off the top of my head, because that seems more interesting than spending 20 hours watching tape and just being like, oh, well, if this happens, no, I'll just go off vibes, have fun with it, and if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, then I'll get laughed at on the internet. It's the end of the world, I know. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, like if you want to. Leave a comment telling me that I'm wrong and that, Mario Batista's going to win and Merab is going to dominate Sean. Go do your thing. Hope you have a good day, though. And goodbye.